It will tell you how the organization plans to finance its overall operations. The cash flow planning. What is this cash flow planning? It says to create a cash flow planning, every business organization must assess their assets. And how it says, depending on the size and the financial structure of the organization or the business, it says there are a number of whether to create their investment strategy accordingly. So likewise, they need to follow up the strategies, they make a decision or make a strategy related to the finance. Hi and a warm welcome to you all dear students. I, JWsir, Commerce Faculty, Department of Commerce, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. Dear students, today we shall take up session 2 of Unit 3, that is related to the strategies, various strategies. Today we shall take up the financing strategy and the production strategy. In the last class I was explaining to you about the marketing strategy and the competitive strategies. So in this session we shall take up the financing strategy. What do you mean by financing strategy? So finance strategy is nothing but it is a strategy which is been performed or it has been formulated by the companies or organizations in order to see that how they are going to bring up or they are having a blueprint regarding the finance of that particular organization, the total finance activities of the particular organization. So finance strategy is an integral of the organization strategy plan. It is very much integral and very much important on part of every organization. It will tell you how the organization plans to finance its overall operations. So this strategy will tell you how the organization is going to make a plan regarding the overall activities of the finance related to that particular organization in order to meet the objectives and move in future. So this particular strategy, finance strategy or financial strategy, is a strategy which is helping the organization in order to carry on the works of that particular organization very smoothly and without any difficulty and carry out all its operations, that is which is related to the overall operations of the company in order to meet the objectives of present as well as in the future. Now this financial strategy, it summarizes the targets and also it says the actions which has to be taken over 3 to 5 years plan or period in order to achieve the targets. So this financial strategies, it will summarize and tell you what are the targets of the organization and what are the actions which has to be taken into consideration like from the for first 3 years or for the 5 years plan. So what are the allocation, financial allocations, how the resources are to be taken into consideration, which are the various sources of finance, right? All this you need to plan and decide about. So first is we have the cash flow planning. Now under financial strategy, it says the first strategy which you are going to take up is, or organization takes up, is the cash flow planning. What is this cash flow planning? It says to create a cash flow planning, every business organization must assess their assets. First and foremost, they need to assess. Assess means they need to find out and see how much is the value of the asset of that particular organization. Then what is the income of that particular organization and what are the expenditures. So they need to take into consideration the assets, then they need to take into consideration the income part of that particular organization or company and the expenditure. So all these three things, first and foremost, they need to understand and analyze and assess. So doing this, it allows the company to what? To analyze how the current expenditure fits the projected cash flow. So when you understand these three things, and with these things, the company will come to know, or it will analyze and see that how it can fulfill the current expenditure which is incurring, and that will fit into a projected cash flow, where you want to generate more revenue. So with this, they are going to plan to get more revenue or more income. That is the cash inflows. Now, without cash flow planning, without doing the cash flow planning, the business cannot make informed decisions. So they need to analyze these three things: assets, income and the expenditure. Based on that analysis, you need to find out how well you are going to fit into that particular projected inflows, how you are going to get that projected inflows which you are projected, that so much should be the income or the generation of the income should be there. So right, so without the cash flow planning, if you not done this cash flow planning, then your business cannot be informed, you cannot take a proper decision or the informed decisions about what will be the expenditure, what will be the investment for the future growth. So in order to take a very good decision or proper decision regarding the expenditure of the organization, regarding the investment or the future growth of the organization, surely it has to do this cash flow planning. Now, businesses that fail to plan cash flow planning properly, what happens? What is the consequence of it? So it says may spend too much money. When you don't have the plan, how can you say that, yeah, everything is okay, everything is going on? No. It says you need to spend more money. Now, for example, if you take in your house itself, if your father is earning around 10,000 per month, then they need to do the proper planning. So in that proper planning, when they do, they'll come to know what are the expenditures and what will be the remaining amount left over, right? So in that particular month, what will be the expenditures and how you are going to save some money for yourself out of this 10,000. So that proper planning has to be done. In the same way, every business also has to do some planning. So this cash flow planning is very, very important on every part of organization of the business. If you are not done with it, then surely you have to spend a lot of money on the investment part or whatever maybe, like or you can become bankrupt also sometimes because you spend everything, whatever you have, the resources, and also make poor financial decisions that do not fulfill the business potentials for growth. So all these are impacts of not planning, that is not having a proper cash flow planning. The second is investment planning. It is also very, very important because when you do the investment, you should do the investment which is having a feasibility where it can fetch you more profitability, right? And where it gives you the very good return on the investment at the earlier stage. So creating a smart investment plan is very important and key financial aspect or the financial safety for every businesses. Because every business often invests in securities. You know that every business, they'll be always investing their money into the securities or the shares, such as shares or mortgages, and surely which will provide their good return for their investment. So that is why it says you need to do the investment planning. And however, it says depending on the size and the financial structure of the organization or the business, it says there are number of numerous, that is, investment strategies must be taken into consideration. That is, in order to see that every business can choose a very proper and appropriate strategy has to be formulated. Surely that will fit into the overall goals and objectives of that particular organization. And also it says the business is willing to withstand the risk. So if any businesses are ready to withstand the risk which they come across, the risk of variable prices, which may invest into the shares or property, a growth investment to create capital. So here the businesses which are which is having a willingness to withstand the risk from investing that particular money into that particular shares or into the property, it is like a growth investment in order to create a capital on that. So this financial strategy, but however it says the business is looking for a lower risk investments. So those businesses which are not ready to take up the big risk or very less risk they want. So in that case, the businesses which is looking for a lower risk investment, surely they will consider the defensive investments such as cash investments in bank accounts. So investing your amount into the bank accounts, or it may be in the fixed interest investments, right? In order to create a stable income for that particular company or the organization. But whereas you see here, the business which is willing to cope up with the risk of variable prices, surely they'll be investing into the shares or property where they want to create a capital, or they want to see there is a growth in the investment part. But whereas if you see here, the small businesses or some of the business which is looking having a lower risk investment, they doesn't want to take a big risk in the investment part. So those can consider the defensive investment strategies such as investment in cash in the bank accounts, or it may be in the fixed interest investments, so that it will create a suitable income for them. So these kind of investments are very less risky, but generally what happens, it provides a very low rate of return. So risk may be less here, risk is less, but the return on investment also will not be more, it will be also less only. It is very less. So surely it will provide the rate of return and growth of investment is also very less. So less return on returns as well as the growth also will not be much. Now as such, businesses must decide whether their overall investment strategy end goal is growth or creating a steady income, right? So here businesses, they need to decide whether we should go in for a risky investment or for a lower risk investment. So that's what it says, it has to decide. Now the overall investment strategy when they take up, then the end goals is growth, whether the end of that particular investment, whether it should be a growth one or it should create a steady income. It should have a steady income, and whether to create their investment strategy accordingly. So likewise, they need to follow up the strategies, they make a decision or make a strategy related to the finance. Third is dividend strategy. Under this strategy, it says if a company has shareholders, so most of the companies will be having the shareholders because they are the owners of the company and the dividend has to be paid to them. So the dividend strategy is necessary in order to decide the proportion of profits given to shareholders are dividends, because every shareholder requires the dividends has to be paid. What? The dividends out of the profits earned, right? So out of the profits earned, the dividend has to be paid to them. Now this particular strategy is very much important, that is dividend strategy is very much important on part of the dividends, that is on part of the company, because they need to decide how much proportion or how much part of the profit has to be taken out and be paid as a dividend to the shareholders. So the company must balance satisfying the shareholders also and also retaining enough profit for their future investment and growth. So here the companies, when under this particular financing strategy, they need to make a strategy where it says the companies has to balance. So they need to balance between both, that is satisfying the shareholders by giving the dividends, right, as well as having enough profit with them, keeping as reserves. So they need to keep as reserves, right, in order for the future investment as well as the growth, and also to meet the contingencies which may occur. Then by providing the shareholders with satisfying the dividends, what happens here? The value of the investment in the company shares is increased. So when the company is giving lot of dividends, when the company is giving lot of dividends or satisfying the shareholders by paying the very good dividends on their investment, then surely it says the value of the shares also gets increased, and thereby it can attract more shareholders also. Because if I am a shareholder, if I am getting very good dividends on my investment, then surely I will be saying to other shareholders also that this company is giving, why don't you invest in this particular company? So they can attract lot of shareholders. So this can reduce the tax burdens for the company. Surely the tax burden on the company will be reduced because of increasing their shareholders as well as by paying very good dividends on their investment, which will create a cheaper capital structure. Now this fourth strategy is related to capital structure planning. Now this capital structure refers to how the business funds are structured within the company. Capital structure means how the total funds of the business is been structured, or it is been brought or it has been framed in such a way in a company, that is in particular of debt and equity. So the total finance of the business, how it is being structured and how it is being depending upon, or how it is going to balance with the debt equity as well as the debt and the equity which are being balanced. We call it also as debt equity ratio. So this kind of capital structure is also called as debt equity ratio. So here students, bonds, loans these are the important primary or the basic forms of debt. So security bonds, or it may be the mortgages, right? So all these are nothing but they are the loans which is taken from financial institutions. They are the importance or the primary forms of debts. While different stocks or retained earnings, but whereas the shares or the retained earnings, right? They are the primary forms of equity. So equity is what? It is the owner's money. It is the owner's money, but whereas debt is where you need to pay, it is a liability on the part of the company. So by designing an informed capital structure, here the companies, what they do, they can increase what? Increase the market value. When they formulate the capital structure, surely the companies can increase their market structure, right, as well as the market value. Surely they will increase the market value and the benefit of interest of the shareholders, so that it can benefit on the part of the interest of the shareholders. And creating a very sound financial strategy for the companies, it says it can be confusing as well as time consuming also. So when you create a very sound financial strategy for the companies, surely that can confuse as well as it is time consuming aspect. So with this simple financial strategy or planning aggregation, the system offered by Mosaic Tech companies can be informed the business decision with Mosaic Tech easy to use cross-functional platform. So this is just an example it is given. Okay. So when you create a very sound financial strategy for your companies, surely there will be a confusion as well as there will be a the time consuming aspect. And lastly, we'll see the financial strategy objectives. Under this, we have the financial growth, where it says to increase revenue by 10% annually. The companies, what they need to do, the financial efficiency is to decrease expenses by 5%. So if you want to have a very good financial growth of 10%, then automatically the company's efficiency is to reduce the 5% expenditure which is been undertaken. And financial efficiency is to increase the net profit by 10% annually. By reducing the unwanted expenditure or reducing the cost or the expenses by 5%, the financial efficiency will lead to increase in the net profit of 10% annually, that is yearly. So that is about the financial strategy, students. Now coming to the next topic, that is related to production strategy. Now what is this production strategy? It is a strategy which is having a broad long-term action plan oriented one. And these strategies, production strategies, are achieved. That is, they are made. Why they are made? Why this particular strategy is being made? Because in order to achieve the main objectives of the organization, the goals of the organization, right? In order to achieve the goals and objectives of the organization, production strategies are being formulated. Now, these production strategies tell us what? It will tell you what is the production department. Tell us about the production department, and also it says it must do what it must do in order to achieve the aims of the organization. So this production strategy will tell us what is the production department and what production department must achieve, that is the top aims of the organization. So here the top level managers or the top level management, they will be making these particular strategies in order to achieve the objectives of the organization. And it says this production strategy surely will help the company to make the operational as well as the strategic decisions that will surely follow a logistic pattern and support the corporate strategy also. And thereby it says gives lot of priorities to the computation of the company. And it says this strategy is also involved, that is production strategy is also involved, that is towards the decision and making, that is to shape the long-term capabilities, that is in producing in a production unit or in producing that particular product. Now coming to the different types of production strategies, we can see here the first one is differentiation strategy, right? So you need to differentiate your products along with other products in the market, or differentiate your company with other competitors. So that strategy. Second is cost leadership, where you will be lowering your cost in order to enter into a competition. Market segmentation strategy, price or cost strategy, where you need to see that you are going to what kind of price you are going to fix for your product. So that kind of strategy or the cost strategy will be framed under this price or the cost. Then quality strategy, this in this strategy where you are going to look into how well you can give a very good superior quality products to the consumers or to the target market. Delivery strategy is a strategy where how well you are going to distribute, which are the various channels you are going to take in order to distribute the products in an easy and convenient way which will reach the consumers. Product mix or flexibility strategy, it is a strategy where you are undertaking all the four P's of marketing, that is product, place and promotion. And service strategy, it is a strategy which is related to service, how we are going to render service and which are the ways you are going to render services to the consumers. Now basically this particular strategy, that is production strategies, involves the process of converting the labor, materials, etc. into a particular combination, that is of qualities that are selected groups of customer wants. So this production strategy totally it involves, it is a process. It is a process of conversion, that is of whatever the labor you have in your organization, the materials, raw materials which you have in your organization, you are going to take into consideration, put them into a particular combination, make them into a combination of qualities, so that you get a very good selected people as well as who can workforce, we can say, where you can get the good workforce who can, that is, fulfill the customer wants and the needs. So the major decisions in this production or operation strategy, here we see that it is totally concerned with the technical core. That is, it is totally concerned with how that particular production takes place. What are the various steps? What are the various stages the product as will undergo? What will be the quality of that particular product? What are the various facilities you are going to give in that particular product? Then what is the technology you are going to use? And the production planning and control. All this will be the important aspects related to this particular production strategy. Now the main strategies here used in this production planning and control are what? It is a chase strategy. That means you are chasing. What is that chasing? It says level production, make to stock and assemble to order. So the main important strategies used in the production planning and control are the chase strategy. That is, you need to chase your competitors from the market. In such a way you need to make this strategy. Then a level of production, so it increase your level of production, you need this particular strategy, that is production strategy. And make to stock, that is, you need to produce more products and assemble them in order to see that that is been distributed to the people or to the consumer. Aspects related to the production strategy. Again from the beginning, first I told you about what is the financial strategy, right? The concept. Then under financial strategy, it says cash flow planning. Then secondly, investment planning. Then we have dividend strategies, capital structure planning, and objectives of financial strategy. Then coming to production strategy, we can see what is the meaning of production strategy, then which are the different types of production strategies, right? So we have differentiation strategy, cost leadership strategy, market segmentation strategy, price or cost strategy, quality strategy, delivery strategy, then product mix or flexibility, and service strategies. Then in production strategies, we can see that the major decisions in production operation strategies include the technical core, quality, facilities, technology, and production planning and control. And also it says in this particular strategy, the main important strategy is used in production is planning and control, that is chasing the strategy, level of production, make to stock and assemble to order. These are two important aspects which I covered to you in today's session. So remaining with we have human resources and logistics also, that I'll be covering in the next session. So until then, hope that you have understood the topics which I have explained to you today. So in the same way what I told you in the first session, this is both also are important part of 5 marks on part of examination point of view. So study and go through this particular topics. So see you in the next class. Until then, take care. Have a nice day. Thank you, students.